Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is March 21st. We are officially in March Madness, and I don't necessarily mean college basketball, even though, yes, there is that going on. I mean the Twitter reaction over the last week after Oli Marmol signed a 2-year extension.
I think it's funny that we've been doing this whole countdown to opening day, and you didn't mention that we were exactly 1 week away from opening day, which is exciting. We've made
Good
it. We've made
catch.
it,
Good,
folks.
good
We're almost
catch.
there.
Good catch.
Um, yeah, Ollie is extended through 2 years. Everybody, I'm sure everyone's calm. Everyone remain calm. He is going to be back for 2 more years.
Keep calming Oli
Um,
on.
yeah, I have so many thoughts on this, and I want to be more concise than I was. I want to start before we get into our thoughts on the extension itself. I want to start with something that I found very interesting. So Mozeliak in his introductory, not introductory, but his press conference for announcing the extension said something that I thought was very interesting. He said, "We don't want Ollie to feel like, as we're making roster decisions, that he has to only be focused on winning right now instead of what may be better for the future." Okay. And I think a lot of people, and I'm going to get some context here before you react to that. I think a lot of people heard that and thought, oh, they don't want to win now. They're playing for the future. That's not how I took it, even though I understand why it sounds that way. The way I took it was, hey, if we're struggling 2 weeks in and Mason Wynn's not hitting well and Victor Scott's not hitting well, or if he's up, don't look over your shoulder and say we got to play Brandon Crawford. We got to mix things up because you're worried about losing your job. You know what I mean? And there's another way you can take it as well, which is don't rush Victor Scott onto this roster because you want to win right now. You're safe for a few years. If he needs to develop, we can let that happen. So that's what I took it. What do you think when you hear that quote?
Well, a few things. One, to be fair to everyone out there, by the way, thank you everybody for listening, whether you're on Spotify or Apple or for joining us on YouTube. We did already record this podcast, but Caleb fucked it up. So
I
here
did.
we are
It's
recording
on
it
me.
again. So thank you, Caleb, for that, by the way.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all
I'm just
right.
kidding. It was not Caleb's fault. It
It
was
was
actually
actually my
Zoom's.
fault, but
Well, okay, it
yeah.
was. I was trying to be nice there. But here's the thing, and I said this on the last pod, so I've got to remember what did we say now and what am I saying later. However, with those comments, you can take them however you want to take them. Like I believe if you like listening to those, you can take them at face value. You can take them as we don't believe we're going to win. So
Mm.
develop the future. You can take them as we have no idea what we have, or you can take them how you took them. The thing to me that I have seen from a lot of people is, and I don't tend to disagree with. I understand the move, like at its value, but the optics are just so weird. Like
Mm.
coming off your worst year since, I mean, maybe since I've been alive. I don't remember if we had a '90s year where
1990
we
was the worst.
there
Was the
was. I know
worst.
I was gonna say the
It was
'90s.
since
That's
then. Yeah,
what I
1990.
would have said. So, I like it's just a weird optic. I'm not saying I even disagree with it, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. I've been accused of being an Ollie lover and an Ollie hater. I'm really honestly neither because I don't know. Year one was a dramatic success with Ollie. Year
Mm.
two was a dramatic failure. And I'm not going, I'll say it again. I coached high school baseball for 25 years. I'll say it one more time, just louder for those in the back. I think coaches slash managers get way too much credit when they win, and they get way too much blame when they lose. So I don't even honestly know what we have with Ali. I don't hate it. I don't hate him the way a lot of Cardinals fans do. I can't say I love it, which I have
Mm.
not seen a lot of loving it, by the way.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call myself an Ollie fan because I think being a fan of a coach, unless it's like Bruce Bochy, in general, it's
Right.
just strange. Like there
Eric
are like rare
Francona.
air of like Tony La Russa when he was with the Cardinals, not White Sox La Russa, and Francona, guys like that. Yeah, that have earned like you're a fan of that manager. I'm not that with Ollie. I think he's really good at his job when he's given a good team. That being said, if you're anything but indifferent right now, towards the first 2 years of his tenure, I think you're being disingenuous because he was really good in year one. I thought he did a good job managing Albert in that entire situation. Corey Dickerson as well. And year two, like I'm not going to say it's his fault because I don't think it is, but you can't say he's blameless. Like he definitely didn't
Agreed.
help. Like you lost 20, you were way worse than we ever thought they would have been. So he
Ev-
definitely wasn't a plus last year. There's no way.
as far as I'm concerned, everyone associated with the organization in 2023 has some culpability.
Yeah,
Every
except for like
player,
rookies.
fair, that's fair. Every other player,
Yeah,
every
honestly, yeah.
coach, the GM, the front office, the owner. I mean, you can put it on down the line there. I just think right now, like, I think Ollie has the opportunity to write his story. Like
Mhm. History,
you had,
history.
ah, you had, a great first year. You had a terrible second year.
Mhm.
Was it because of the players? I mean, obviously, I believe, the old saying, X, you don't win with X's and O's, you win with Johnny's and Joe's, right? I get that. Like, that is actually true because it's funny how fans will come out and say, well, the only reason they won 93 games 2 years ago with Ollie is because they had Pujols and Yachty and those guys.
Yeah.
Well, okay, they didn't have them last year then. So, do you want a manager then to be 20? Are you wanting a manager to win 20 games for you? I don't understand that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, that's like, man, they always say managers at most impact 5 games a year, like one way or the
Handful.
other.
That's what I
And
would say, one way or
I
the
don't
other.
even know if I agree with that. You know what I mean? Because you can even say, like, if he brings in a reliever and they blow the game, you can blame that on him, but was it really the wrong move? We don't know because we didn't see the other alternative universe where it worked. Um, there's a quote, I can't remember who said it. It was a hockey coach, and he said, "I've never seen a good coach with a horrible goalie. I've never seen a good baseball coach with a horrible pitching staff." Okay,
Agreed.
never seen it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give him another chance. The thing that keeps coming in my head is, I even if they're bad again this year, I still think it'd be reasonable to blame the pitching staff that might be in the bottom five in baseball again if they're not healthy,
I was
if
just
they
going
have
to
any
ask
injuries
you,
at all.
do you feel like the front office has set him up better for failure or not failure, success? Has set him up better for success. And I guess better is a subjective term, right?
Mhm.
But do you feel like he is set up now better for success in 2024 than he was in 2023? Because to be fair, coming in 2023, we thought we'd see Adam Wainwright bounce back to what he was in 2022. We thought Miles
But he
Michaelis
was
would
good in
be what he was.
2023 even. I know. Yeah, no,
No,
my
he was
bad.
not. He was the worst pitcher in
I had my
baseball.
years mixed up. For
Okay.
some reason, I thought you said
We
2021.
thought Michaelis would bounce back to be what he had been in 2022. We were
Mhm.
looking forward. I predicted that Steven Matz would be the guy that would, be so dramatically better.
Mhm.
All of those things.
And
We
he
did
was
not see the
actually.
regression of Nolan Arenado offensively and defensively coming. Goldschmidt was still way above league average. Nolan Gorman
Yep.
was above league average. Uh,
Mhm.
Wilson Contreras was above league average as far as hitting goes. Like, so what do
Way
you think?
above.
Where it sits now? Do you think that he is set up to be in a better spot to be more successful, or do you feel like it's also still teetering? Like,
I think it's up in the, I think better, yes. I do. Because I don't think this is a 71 win baseball team. And I love Jack Flaherty, by the way, looks really good in spring training. And I like Jordan Montgomery. I do. I like a lot of the guys that were bad last year, or not really bad. Monty was good. But I do think there was a weird aura around that pitching staff of, where's my daddy at? Like, Yachty was gone. Like, where's and Monty was gone without Yachty for a long time. He was in New York. But for Jack and guys like that, and I'm not saying Jack specifically, but there's a lot of looking for Yachty. Like, where's the guy that's going to prep all this, know exactly what pitch to call, really control a game more than anyone else in baseball in his tenure did. And that's gone. And I do think there's an interesting thing that I keep seeing, and I'm really intrigued to see how this pans out for the Cardinals. And it's a lot of people are writing articles about how teams are asking players to throw harder with better stuff, but they're valuing on the market innings, right? Like, they're valuing Aaron Nola, but they're asking people to pitch like Blake Snell. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
But they're not paying him because they know it's frugal. I'm not frugal. It's volatile. That's the word. It's a volatile thing to do. The Cardinals went very much on the less talented Aaron Nola version of this scale, where they got guys that are going to give you innings. You're not going to have this thing where your bullpen has to give you, hopefully, 9 innings every 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to have that just disastrous, oh crap, we have to cover 7 innings back to back games, because these guys aren't built to do that. So I'm intrigued to see if it works. A lot of GMs are kind of realizing the importance of innings again. I think we took it to an extreme, but I guess that's a long wind of saying I think they're better set up, but how much better? We're gonna have to see. I'm very intrigued. I don't have a read on this team.
since you brought up their daddy and you brought him up, it's hard to escape the fact that there are still people out there who believe that Yachty is going to ride in on his white knight and save the franchise known as the St. Louis Cardinals. Um, it's not
Once
going to happen,
again,
folks. It's not going to happen, right? I'm not saying it won't happen down the road. It's
it
not going
will.
to. It's not imminent because that man was supposed to be at spring training 2 weeks ago, and he's still in Puerto Rico, and there is no like. I've heard nothing that he's on his way. Um,
Yeah. Mhm.
like I still have people who keep telling me that they believe that he was brought in for Oli to look over his shoulder so that he could be the next manager. Well, then why would there be an extension? Like, come on, let's stop with all of
Yeah,
this
it's
this
not.
thought process here. Um, and again, please understand that I'm not saying Yachty might not be a very good manager down the road. I'm not
Mm,
saying that. I'm
right.
saying that I do not believe that it's going to be here in the near future, is what I'm saying. And honestly, I'm fine with that because we can point through the last 3 years where Yachty has not been necessarily a reliable person for a franchise or an organization who needs stability in the as a manager, which every team needs, by the way.
It's difficult to talk about how finicky and flaky, I guess is the best word, Yachty was, specifically his last year, and then obviously now, which there might be reasons we don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's having some kind of family thing, like that's possible, and I don't want to speak out of turn if that's the case. So in fairness to him, we haven't heard Mo say why he's not in right now. But yeah, and like it's difficult to talk about because he was so damn reliable for 19 years, like because he was the most reliable catcher every day. Like AJ Przinsky talks about how he loved his time with the Cardinals because he literally didn't have to do anything because Yachty was
Right.
playing every day. So I do want to say that because obviously not a flaky person in general, but I do
No.
think there was a little bit of he was done with the grind. And
Yes.
how many stories did we hear for literally my entire lifetime of Yachty showing up to Jupiter at 5 in the morning before everybody else, getting his work in and leaving after everybody else. That was who he was. And then I think he just got tired of it. And I don't blame him. Like, I do not blame him at all. That being said, Yachty will not be the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals while John Mozeliak is the president of baseball operations. What does Mo like to do? I'm not saying he likes to control people, but he definitely likes to he likes his opinions to definitely be valued, and he wants his vision to be seen on the field, right? He wants to know that the roster he's putting together is being used the way he wanted it to be put together. AKA Tyler O'Neill in center field last year. So like Yachty's not going to do that. Yachty's not gonna do that. So um yeah, I
Also,
love
to be
Yachty. I don't think he's going to be a manager for the Cardinals, maybe ever, but definitely not in the next 2 to 3 years.
as soon as I saw him partying with the basketball team, either on his IG story or on Twitter or whatever it
It was
was, I
everywhere.
was
It
like,
was everywhere.
I was like, it's very easy for me to say that man is not wanting to come back and do the 162 grind plus spring training. Plus, can you imagine also plus the after every game
He
press
wouldn't do one,
conference
dude. He
plus
would
all of
not.
those? There's no way. Like, and everybody kept trying to tell me, oh no, he is. I have inside information. He's there because whatever. I'm like, no, you do not, because that's not the case
Mm.
at all. Like that might be someone's belief, and that's fine if that's your opinion, but that's not how it was set up. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, and I brought this up to you before. I have two questions.
Mhm.
So, question one: do you think that other fan bases are the same way? Like it feels like in St. Louis, if you were a good player, we believe insert you immediately into the managerial spot, and you will be the greatest manager in Cardinal history. Wayno, Albert, Yachty, Okendo, fill in the blank, right? They're fill in the
Mhm.
blank there with whoever. Do you think Boston fans are clamoring for David Ortiz to be their head manager, or the Yankees are clamoring for Jeter to be their manager, or Mariano Rivera? Or the Braves want Chipper Jones to be their man? Like, are we an anomaly here in St. Louis who just for some reason believe because they were good at baseball they're going to be a great manager?
I don't know. I don't have my finger on the pulse of those teams. The one thing about the Red Sox I do know is that they've wanted Jason Varitek to be their manager for 15 years, the fans there, since he retired. When did
Okay,
Varitek retire?
okay,
10 years ago. That's the only
that
example I can give you that I know
okay.
100% for a fact they've wanted Varitek. But also, like, he wasn't a superstar. He was just a really, really good catcher that could win a
That
lot of
was on
games.
winning teams.
Yeah, he was great. He was a great catcher,
Yeah,
like the best in their, well, now Carlton Fisk. But either way, um, yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I would say there's probably set factions of fans in New York that would think Jeter would do a better job than Aaron Boone. I would imagine. I would bet there are people in Philly that think that, Jimmy Rollins would be better than, I bet there are people, but I think Yachty specifically, because Albert, I don't see a ton of clamoring for Albert, even though he said he wants to be a manager, and I think he might be up first because he's Albert Pujols. No offense, Yachty. I think Yachty's unique because of how he played the game as he was basically, we always said it, he's a manager on the field.
agreed.
So that was everyone's perception of him forever. So then the logical thing would be if he wants to manage, he's probably gonna be pretty damn good at it. So I think Yachty's unique, but when it's like bring Wayno in to be the pitching coach and all this stuff, maybe would wouldn't be great at that. Maybe Chris Carpenter would have been great at it. I don't know, but I do think that's a little bit, it gets ridiculous to a point.
And I would like to again say, I'm not saying that I don't believe that Yadi Molina would be a great major league manager. I'm not saying that. I don't know.
He very well
I'm
could
I'm
be.
I'm all right. I am not saying that. I'm saying that in my mind, and from everything I have heard, and from everything I can see with these own two peepers, like that man has zero interest to be a major league manager right now, like at
Yeah.
all.
I think he might think he wants to do it, but like, it's like, I think he was going to be the bench coach. And this is something I wanted to bring up but he wanted to be the bench coach from what I've heard. And then he said, did the Matt Holiday and saw what the schedule was and said, maybe not the
Yep.
bench coach. Like, one thing I would give Oli a ton of credit for, and I really think truly he's great at this, is he wants the best people around him in that dugout possible. Bernie Miklasz, he flies off the handle sometimes. He's very entertaining. I like Bernie a lot
So do
personally.
I.
He's a legend. Um, but he said he'd had a conversation with Oli, and Oli said, I want all of them. I want Yadi here. I want Albert here. I want anyone here that can be here that's going to help my team win. Like, he hired two guys in Skip Schumacher and Daniel Descalso, who easily could have been his replacement, still could be. Like, Daniel Descalso still could be his replacement. If this season goes bad and they end up firing him despite the extension, Skip Schumacher could probably ask out of his job and they would definitely hire him. So I think he's good at surrounding himself with people and not letting his ego get in the way of that, which I really enjoy because Mike Matheny, who we saw for a long time here, was not the same. Okay. He was always looking over his shoulder. There's reports of that all the time that he would get he would get like almost paranoid about people trying to take his job. Ollie's not that. So I have a lot of respect for that. And another thing I wanted to get to that we haven't talked about yet, extensions for managers aren't the same as extensions for players. I think a lot of people hear extensions in Cardinal universe and think Matt Carpenter, we want it DFA him, right? Paul DeYoung, how long was he here after he was horrible for like 3 years, where we could have reasonably said there was another guy that deserved that job. We traded Sosa because of him, right? I think they're viewing it that way. Managers aren't the same. He's not going to be making much money, like a couple million at most over the 2 years. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like what a league minimum contract for a player would be, and he's getting like 1.5 over 2 years. So if things go awful again, I would have a very hard time seeing Oli Marmol back in 2025.
Yeah, and I think that means Mo's gone as well. By the way,
Yeah, I think he'd retire
yeah, I think that's because
or
I don't
get
see him.
promoted. He'd get the Joe
Yeah.
McEwing
Okay,
promotion.
I've got two more things that I want to say here before I lose them. But one, here's what I will say: if things go off the rails and it goes sideways in 2024,
Mhm.
as a fan, which is why we started this thing because you and I are fans. I would like to see the Cardinals not bring in Daniel Descalso or Skip Schumacher. No offense to either of them. Love them both. I
Not even
would like to
Skip.
see, huh?
Not even Skip, who just took a horrible
No,
team to the
I would
postseason.
like I would like to see someone outside of the Cardinals tree come in. I really think like they did that with LaRussa. They went outside of the tree.
Mhm.
And there's people still who hate Tony La Russa because he's not Whitey Herzog, because he was an outsider.
I
He
don't know
wasn't.
about still.
I'm telling you, I am
That's
letting you
crazy.
know
That's crazy,
that that
dude.
is a fact.
The
But
two-time World Series champ right there.
correct, and went three
Four.
times. He went three for the
Oh, he
Cardinals.
didn't go.
For
I
the
was thinking
Cardinals,
2013. My bad. That was
yeah.
Matheny. I don't count that one.
Either way, either way, I would like to see them go outside of the tree and hire someone who is an established manager. I don't know. I don't have a name. I mean, Terry Francona's my guy. Like,
Buck
that's my
Showalter.
dude.
He's
I just
done.
don't think that's who it is.
Francona is
No, it's
done.
not Buck Showalter either.
Francona's done.
Right, I agree. And it's not Joe Madden. Please stop bringing up Joe Madden. Let's
Dude, if it's
let's
Joe,
move on.
if it's
Let's move
what
on
is
from that.
what a contrast that would be.
Good Lord. But
Joe
that's just
Madden's
me. And
wild.
I mean, there are a lot of people who do not agree with that, as I can see people who want Yachty and every fill in the blank. I would just personally like to see a breath of fresh air, like with what we're seeing with Heim Bloom coming in. I wouldn't mind if, and again, please everybody understand me. I want it to be successful to where we're great for the next 10 years and Oli Marmol is the manager. I want that to be the case because that means we're really good. But
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying is I would like it to be maybe somebody outside of that Cardinal tree.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say before I say that, because I want to preface this. I think they're gonna have a fine year. I think they're gonna be in the postseason. That's gonna be my prediction. Because I'm a Cardinal fan. I see through Cardinal red tinted glasses. I'm aware of this, but it's how I am. So I think they're gonna make the postseason. And I think he's going to do a good job because I do genuinely, I believe in Oli as a manager, and that could be proven right or wrong. We'll see what happens. If in this hypothetical things go basically, let's just say 2022 is back. Okay. It happens again. 2023, sorry. And it happens again and they're awful. Then Goldie's gone, Arenado's gone, Mo's probably done because he should be at that point, and Ollie's probably gone. There's a guy named Alex Cora who is that going to be out there.
Bingo.
However, the Cardinals aren't paying him what he's going to want, I don't think, because he's going to want to probably beat a guy that's coaching for the Chicago Cubs right now in contract. So yeah, that would be the guy. Like if this happens, that I would be pounding the table for because I think he's one of the smartest baseball minds. He's a cheater, but one of the smartest baseball minds of this century. But
You
I don't
ain't
know. I
cheating,
don't
you
think it's
ain't
gonna happen.
trying.
True. Yeah, or gambling, Shohei Ohtani.
We'll get to that in a minute. Final question about managers, managerial positions,
Managerials.
managerial positions. The clamoring for Yachty and Albert. And again, let me just say, I'm not saying they wouldn't be great managers, but
Have
I
you
want
heard
you.
clamoring for Albert? I haven't.
No, yes, I saw it on Twitter
I
from
think
some
Yachty
people that,
just like the shadow of Yachty is
yeah.
casting over Albert even, which is
Also, to be
crazy.
fair, I don't understand it completely because I don't understand the contract, but I don't even know that Albert could manage outside of the Angels for the next 9 years. Like
I
I
think
don't
he
know
would have
that.
to get permission. Like they
Right.
could, I'm assuming that he could get permission. They'd have to grant it. So I don't know if they would, but I
Which
would think
right,
they
we don't
would.
know.
I would think they would, but
Either
yeah.
way, name me one successful major
Oh
league
gosh.
manager over the last 25 years. I'll even go back 30 if you would like.
30.
Who is a
30.
Hall of Fame, who was a Hall of Fame player.
Mike Schultz.
Little League Hall of
0 and
Fame
1.
does
Mike
not
0 and
count.
1. Starting Tyler Wade over Grant Pauly. I don't understand. They're still
I'm
doing
being
things
I'm
like
being
that.
serious.
I
So
don't
I'm not
know.
I'm not
I over the last 30 years, the answer is there's I mean the only one that I can even say was a manager and a great player is Paul Molitor, and he didn't I don't think he ever made it to the postseason.
and I okay, even if we back, let's go back 50 years. In my lifetime, I'm 50. In my lifetime, obviously Pete Rose was a player manager, but those teams didn't win in the mid 80s and the early 80s. They didn't win until he was gone and all of a sudden Eric Davis came in and they started to win. Like so I and I'll ask the audience because maybe there is a guy that I do not
In
know,
the last
but
30
I have
years, there
tried.
isn't. There isn't. I mean, Joe Torre was a great player. So there's
He
one that you
was.
could say that's like he wasn't a Hall of Fame player, but he was as close as like you could really get without getting in. You know what I mean? He was a great catcher
That's
for a long time.
the two people that came to my mind that are not Hall of Fame level but are close are Torrey and Mattingly. Those were the
Matt,
two.
yeah, and Mattingly won a manager of the year, but he had some weird like he wasn't the best manager from what I've
No,
heard.
he was not. And I'm not saying he wasn't a good
Loved
manager.
on
Please,
Mattingly though, but yeah.
not putting that in there. I'm just saying when we immediately go to these Hall of Famers, like, do you remember the Barry Bonds experience in Florida? Like, I'm not
Hey, he turned Christian Yelich into a star though, according to
absolutely did,
Yelich.
but you know why he couldn't do it? Because they couldn't take what he was teaching them and translate onto the field like he could do.
Yeah, the only guy
And
that
there's
could
a
was a
reason why,
superstar.
yeah, like, McGuire was a really good hitting coach, but he's not obviously
Was
not in the Hall of Fame. But
could be.
you know what? Like
Yeah.
that's my one thing that you just don't see. And obviously the money level now today, I mean, you'd have to. Why would you want that grind after you're done playing unless
They're
like you
gonna
just cannot leave the game?
that's why. Like that's because they love it. And it's almost like a there's this thing this is kind of getting a little off track, but it's interesting to me. There was a person that was talking, it was Yelich actually, funny enough. He said that he struggled early in his career of when he would go home after like a big game and like the silence was deafening. And he said that huge pop of hitting the walk-off homer. And then he was back home and it was like silent and it was very strange. I feel like there is some of that with these stars where they go back and it's like they're not, it's just not the same life anymore. You're living a completely different existence. So I do think part of that's probably there
I
for guys like
I also
Yachty.
think with these stars, the money in TV right now and the
Yeah.
flexibility, like why would you go to in the grind and the like being under the
They
microscope
love
and
it.
also tainting your legacy of being a man, like you're as a player being a
Well, you
bad
know them, Dad.
manager.
You know
Hold
them. They
on,
don't think they're going to be bad.
but you but we do because it's not happening. You don't see Hall of Fame players come back and be major league managers. That's what I'm saying.
No, you don't. Well, when was the
So
last major? When was the last Hall of Famer that even became a manager?
it
Like,
might
not
be
let
your
alone be a
Paul
good one.
Molitor.
Yeah, is that the last one?
Like I that I can think of. There's probably somebody I'm missing,
Yeah,
but
I
I
mean
don't know who
that's
it is.
Lance Berkman's coaching a high school team. He's not a Hall of Famer though.
Yeah, and you know his pitching coach is, right?
Who?
Andy Pettit.
Oh, jeez. Those poor
Imagine
high
playing for
school
that high
kids.
school.
They have so much pressure on them. Disappoint your third base coach, Lance Berkman.
Who's the one? There's a guy at Texas too. Who's at Texas now? One of the coaches at Texas was a
Tulo's at
former player, I
Tennessee.
believe.
Tua?
Tulo, that's who it is.
I
Is
thought it
it
was
no
Tennessee.
Texas? He's
Oh, okay.
Texas.
And
Yeah, he's
Matt
at
Holiday
Texas.
works for Oklahoma State, but
Oklahoma
that's
State with
whatever.
his brother.
Yeah,
But
and
but like,
he
that's what
felt
I'm
the
saying.
ballot
Like
too
I
early,
think
but
the greats, the Hall of Famers, which are the top of the game.
mhm.
Like the money is so good, but also I don't think it translates to being the manager. And nowadays, like I said, you're seeing Wayno go in the booth. These John Smoltz is in the booth.
Albert's
A
in the
Rod.
booth.
Right. That's where they go because the money and the flexibility is so amazing, and you don't have to have that grind, and you're not underneath that microscope, and there's no tainting your legacy. Like that's what I'll
Yeah,
say.
I agree. And I do think a lot of it is more so, I think, I could be wrong, that these Hall of Famers don't want or need to be coaches, and maybe that's why they're not doing it. But I don't know, like Barry Bonds, like the grind of a hitting coach is not the same as a manager, but you're
He
there
made
almost
it
as
one year.
much.
He
Yeah,
made it
but
one
I
year.
don't know if that was his decision, his decision to only make it 1 year or not.
Sorry,
Oh
hit the wrong
gosh,
button there.
great. There goes your name on the screen. Okay, let's get back to Ollie specifically here because we talked more about Yadi than Ollie. That's pretty fitting for this conversation, I think. Um, Final thoughts. Okay, here's where I'm at. I'll give you mine and then you can go. I think Ollie deserves a chance to prove he's another good manager. I don't like lame duck managers. I know you don't like that saying, but that's what they call them.
Because they're
Um,
not. But
yeah,
but yes.
whatever. I don't like. I just think it's not good for anybody. And to be honest, I think if things go horribly again, I don't think that extension is going to play much of a factor into keeping him or not. Because Bill DeWitt Jr. cares more about attendance than he does paying a manager. So, my take is just give the guy a chance, man. Like I do think there's a lot of unfair criticism going around here. If you want to criticize his messaging last year, 100% fair. If you want to criticize his handling of the O'Neal situation, I don't necessarily agree with bashing him for that, but I still think it's a fair complaint and a criticism. Um, Great, 100%. He has not been perfect, but give the guy a chance. Like don't like I don't think he's earned all the hate and ire he's gotten on Twitter, even though last year was horrible. That's where I'm at.
I agree. And I'll go back to again where I think managers get way too much like credit if they win and way too much blame if they lose.
Mhm.
However, what I will say is that I think this just because they gave him a 2 year extension and just because Mo came out and said whatever it was that Mo said, I still think this is a make it or break it year for Ali and for Mo. I honestly believe that for both
I
of
agree.
them. For a lot of the future of this Cardinals and which direction you're going to go, I think everything hinges on 2024. I
Mhm.
really truly do
It
believe
has
that.
to.
I think so too. And I
Like Goldie
also
and
think
Arenado are gone if they're bad again. Like I don't think that's set in for some people. Their franchise stars are gone. They're gonna have to pull a
agreed.
Colorado and ship them out.
Yeah,
So
I
there's a lot
agree.
riding on this season. And the frustrating part, I think, for a lot of fans is a lot of people don't feel like they did enough to really show that they understand that that's the case. But we'll see. Like, if they win 95 games and surprise us all, then nobody's going to care about how weird the offseason was. But they got to do it.
I'll say it again, and we've said it a lot on here, but it's a results oriented business. And
Mhm.
we see teams who are set up for failure every year, like set up from the jump every
Pirates.
year, fire their managers. Like we see it because you
Yeah.
can't fire the team, so you fire the manager. The one thing that I am interested in, I'm interested just to get your take on this, is I put a tweet out not too long ago about Torey Lovello, right from Arizona,
Arizona. Yeah.
who had a 55 win year not 3 years ago.
Mhm.
His career winning percentage in 5, 6 years, I'm not going to count COVID years, so 5 years, is 480 as a manager. Could you imagine if a Cardinals manager won 55 games this year or in a year and was
Mhm.
brought back for 2 more years? I mean, he has only won above 90 games once in his 6 years at Arizona.
I didn't even know
He
he'd done
just made
that,
a World Series and he just signed a massive extension, which, by the way, everyone in baseball seems to think was incredibly great.
including
So
me.
there's something to be said about how you can't just judge a manager on only wins and losses. Yet, with it back to what I said originally, it is a results oriented business. So I don't know where I can draw the line there because I've only seen 2 years of Ollie. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think good organizations know where that line is and where, hey, it's on us. We built a bad roster, and hey, our roster wasn't used properly, right? Those are two different things. And
Yes.
I think Mo's very smart. You may disagree with a lot of things he does, but I don't think he's reactionary for things like this. Like even Matheny should have been gone probably 2 years before he was. Like he does let it play out. So uh, I think Lavelle's an amazing manager. That's the thing. Like when he got a good roster, look what he did with it, man. Look what he did using Kevin Ginkel and Paul Sewald and all those guys in the bullpen and Brandon Fott and trusting him more than honestly maybe he probably even should have, but it worked out. Like Lavelle's a great manager and everyone in the clubhouse likes him, which brings me to another point here. Everyone in the clubhouse seems to really like Ollie.
Yes.
Like I
Yes.
O'Neill didn't, and that's obvious. That relationship was
Big
he even
hug.
said it. Respect at an arm's length is what O'Neill said, which is like the nicest way of saying we did not really like each other, right?
There
That's
was a
the
big hug
Canadian
last
way of
week.
I saw it. That's the Canadian way of saying we were not on the best of terms, right? That's
Fuck off, eh?
yeah, right. Um, so other than that, like every quote I've heard has been positive, and you can say they have to say that stuff, and I agree publicly they do, but behind the scenes they don't. We heard a lot about Matheny behind the scenes and how people did not like him. We heard a
And
lot
Schilt.
last year about Gabe Kapler, not that they didn't like him, but that he wasn't managing a clubhouse very well. Like you will hear stuff. Bob Melvin, I knew he was getting fired 3 months before it happened. So
Yeah.
you hear stuff like this when it's going to happen, and we haven't yet. And that's a testament to Ollie honestly being able to keep players' trust through a horrible season where it's easy to lose trust.
I will say the one thing that surprised me, and we don't spend a lot of time on this because we need to move on to what else we want to talk about. But Tim McKernan, big fan of Tim's, by the way, when what he's built and what
He's
he's
great.
done, big fan of Tim. Put out a poll the other day. Do you approve or disapprove of the Ollie thing? I was shocked. About 1,500 votes, 90% disapprove. Now, you can say Twitter's not like all Cardinal fans, but I do believe, as McAfee says, it is a focus group. So yes, it's a smaller group, but 90 like
We're
it's
using
not
science
close.
terms.
Yeah, like it's not. Yeah, I mean it's not close to like when it's not. So I really and from everything I've seen on from most people that I have seen, very negative. That has surprised
Yeah.
me, but I still think everybody still has the taste of 2023 in their mouth, and with that taste, it's everyone's fault but the players, is
Yeah.
what
And
a lot of people think.
it's not just Cardinal fans either, like Chris Rose and Trevor Plouffe, who I respect both of them a lot. I think they're really good at what they do. Very negative on Ollie. Like they were very against the extension. Now, obviously, they don't watch Cardinals as close as we do. That's not to say they don't have good insight. It's just to say they don't know, they can't possibly know as much as every fan of their own team. It's just impossible.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a lot of negativity around him. And a lot of it is how bad the optics were last year. It's just like the Contreras situation. Like I'm just so steadfast and almost and I'm literally 100% certain that that was not an Ollie only decision. And in fact, I would guess it's like 95% not his decision. What happened?
Right.
I was grasping at straws from an organizational level to try and figure out why they were so bad. Like that's just what it was. But it did happen under his watch. So that I mean that's something you have to mention. And then obviously the O'Neill situation, which like I didn't hate, but I do think it was definitely weird. It was just a weird thing that happened. So I think that
Sorry.
really left a sour taste in people's mouth. And then you see that on top of they lose 91 games. And if you're an outsider that doesn't like read every single article and read the quotes from Nolan and Goldie every day, then it's a logical conclusion to draw that he lost the clubhouse. That's just not what actually happened according to people that are in the know. That's what I'll
Right.
say.
Agreed. Let's move on to few Cardinal things here. Um, One, the Keenan Middleton stuff. Anything new
So
on
sad.
that? When I hear forearm, I automatically think Tommy John.
Yeah, me too. Knock on wood. Let's hope that's not the case for him. I've heard multiple things. So I heard that they weren't super concerned, which that's always good, but it's also like I don't know if I trust them. Good thing is we haven't gotten any updates. Like no updates, good updates right now because he's not going to be throwing.
No news
So
is good news, as they
yeah, the
say.
thing that's concerning about like inflammation in that area, which I think is what they said. I don't think they said sprain, which is good. That means there's no tear. Inflammation in that area sometimes can like mess up X-rays and MRIs because it's inflamed. That's what Garrett Cole is going through right now. So that's why they're taking it so slow. So hopefully there's no sprain or tear under there. But so far, I haven't heard anything about Tommy John, which is good. Normally you hear that by now.
Yes.
Hopefully he's
The
back
other
soon.
thing
Only a couple of weeks.
that I don't know that we spent much time on, we don't need to spend a lot of time on. We speculated that Tommy would start the year on the IL. That it's official. I mean, we
Mm.
knew it was coming. I mean,
Yeah.
shut down from baseball activities. That tells me
For
it's
what,
going
another
to be a
five
while.
days
Yeah, I mean,
at the minimum? Yeah. They said 10, so we'll
minimum.
see.
Right.
Yeah. It sucks, man. It sucks. Okay, so last week I said Tommy Edman was getting Wally pipped potentially by Victor Scott. I think he's getting double Wallied because Dylan
Yeah.
Carlson looks really freaking good right now. And boy, it's not Tommy's fault at all. I don't blame him. I mean, but it's a tough time to go out when these guys are performing like they are.
Now it is spring.
It is. But I believe in both of those two a lot as players.
Let's talk a little bit about the roster. Is obviously here's what we have coming forward in the next week for
Oh,
y'all.
before you do that, let's hit on
Okay.
Newpar real quick.
Oh yeah. Go right ahead.
There was a Newpar update, and Sonny Gray. Let's get both those out of the way real quick. So Newpar, they said he threw from 90 feet for the first time, so he's back to at least like using his body in a way that's not restrained. He said positive and he's working back, so that could mean I doubt he's ready for opening day. We were only a week out at this point. He hasn't swung. That seems very unlikely to me. But it wouldn't shock me if maybe he doesn't need to go on the IL and he goes on a rehab assignment to start the year. I think he'll be back sooner than we maybe thought originally, which is great. And then Sonny Gray's throwing a side session tomorrow or today, as you're hearing this. And Sunday, he's supposed to throw to against minor leaguers. And then they're going to see if he needs to be on the IL or if he can travel with them to Arizona and then Los Angeles. Both really positive updates for those two, which we need because they're very good.
My hope on Sonny is they don't rush him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the good news in this situation is one, he was already precautious by taking himself out because he didn't throw another pitch after he felt it. And two, he's a guy that's been through this before and knows his body really well.
Correct.
So I don't think he would push it. I really don't. Like, I think he wants to win more than he wants to make, a start in Los Angeles. I think he wants to be out there for most of the season. So I'm hopeful, but yeah, that is a concern. We'll obviously monitor that as he starts to ramp up.
I sort of feel like, and when we talk about the bullpen with Kareem, and then obviously the decision to be made there is Zach Thompson down in Memphis, or is he up here with a big club
He's been
instead of
good, by
Sonny?
the way. Really good.
Right. I'm just saying that's right now your decision. Okay. Like that's in pitching in the staff, like in
Well,
the rotation.
Well, they were
To me,
talking about
that's
maybe
your.
a 6-man rotation, so I don't know if that's
So
a
you might
decision
have,
or
but
not.
okay. So
Yeah, it's
you
possible.
you think they're gonna go with a lighter bullpen with all
Well,
these older guys like that,
here's
bro?
the
I don't like
interesting
that at
thing.
all.
Here's the interesting thing you can do when you're doing that is you can have Thompson up and say you're stretched out. We're on a 6-man rotation, but if we need you, we're abandoning this plan. You
Right.
can do that. They've done it before. With Zach Thompson actually. Or if it goes well and you got the guys that here's the thing, they got guys that they think can eat innings. And if that holds true the first couple of weeks, then you should be good to go. I do think it's smart because, having Sonny have one extra rest day is not a bad thing while he's coming back. Like it's not a bad thing to have any of these old guys having rest
Right.
days on. So I don't know if they're gonna do it. We haven't heard, but Zach Thompson to me, I think he's a lock for the rotation right now. He's been great. And he might even be better. He is pitching better than their other guys in the rotation. So I think he'll be in it. He's earned it, man. He's been really
Okay.
good. He
I
looks
agree
good.
with that 100%. But to me, your bullpen. We talked about that with Kareem. There's still probably a couple like decisions there, especially with the Middleton injury. Something is going to pop off there, and we'll figure all that out as we
Probably
go.
Palante.
But yeah, agreed. Who we
He's
didn't even
looked.
talk about with
I know he
Kareem,
looks
by
really
the way.
good.
Yeah.
He just goes under the radar. I feel like because he's just like consistently solid.
To me, it's the 13 bats that you got to look at, right? So let's just go around it really quickly. At catcher, you've got your two. It's Herrera and it's Willie. Or
Yeah,
right,
there you
that's
go.
what we got. All
There
right.
you go.
You got
Nailed it.
obviously you've got Goldie at first, so that gives you three. You got Donovan and Gorman at second, that's five. You've got Wynn and Crawford, that's seven. You got Nolan, that's eight. That leaves five spots, right?
Just put Carpenter
Obviously,
in
we
there
know
too.
Walker and Carlson, so that gets you to
Yep.
10.
Carpenter.
Now, Carpenter, thank you. I knew there was
11.
somebody in there. That's 11. I mean, to me, your next two to me right now are Burleson and Victor Scott.
Yeah, and poor Fermin, dude. He's been great this spring. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to think about Victor Scott. Part of me is thinking like he robbed a home run today, by the way, because of course he did. He slowed down offensively, which is like the late spring rookie slowing down is like every single year they always do it. Walker did it last year. You're facing better pitching and more refined pitching. I, I think I'm anti it if Carlson's going to be starting, and I was at a point where I was like putting them both out there. and maybe I still am there, and I will be tomorrow. I don't know, but I do think like if Carlson's performing and you think he's getting a runway, are you just complicating things by putting Victor on this roster and not giving Burleson DH opportunities?
Let me ask you this. Are you comfortable going into the season with an outfield that has Burleson and Jordan Walker in it every day with this pitching staff?
I wouldn't. I'd have Donovan in the field.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then let me ask you this then. Who is your 13th guy? If
Michael
you're,
Ciani.
okay.
Here's the thing, Dad. Okay, here's the thing. The only way he'd play is if someone gets hurt. Or, like, honestly, he's a really solid defender. And if it's the ninth inning and you're winning, take Jordan Walker out of my outfield, please, and put Michael Ciani in right. Like that's what I would do. And it's not ideal at all. Like these injuries suck, and Newbar not being there complicates things. But I think in a scenario where Scott's not on the roster, I think he will be. But in a scenario that he's not on the roster,
Yes.
I would have Michael Ciani on it just because he provides something more than just having another guy there that's never going to pinch hit for anybody.
Who who on the bench is going to be able to hit right-handed?
Herrera. And then I guess Carlson if he gets benched whenever Evans back. Nopar's back.
That's
Whoever.
the problem. Like you you could have had Adam Duvall, which I've talked about for a song. Like you could have.
He wasn't
The
coming
Braves
here
did.
over Atlanta, dude.
Probably correct. But
Definitely
Tommy
correct.
Pham is still out there. Like this is what I'm
He
saying.
is.
Like
That I mean, yeah,
there are
he
guys
is.
like you now. For years we talked about how we didn't have anybody off the bench left-handed. Now all we have are lefties. So you bring in a. I mean, we're facing guys in the late innings that bring in. They're going to match up lefties in the eighth and the ninth against us because
Okay, here's my
especially as
question
you
for
get
you.
to the bottom of the order.
Here's my question for you. Let's just disregard Scott here because once again, we just don't know if he's on the roster. So let's go with like their other lefties, Gorman, Donovan, Newbar. Whenever Newbar's back, which hopefully isn't too long. Am I missing any lefties? Maybe Burleson if he's there.
Also, hold on, let me stop you for 1 second. If Newbar obviously isn't on the IL, that's your other guy. By the
Right,
way,
yeah, of
I am
course.
I am playing with the forethought of he will start the season on the IL.
Yeah, I think it would surprise both of us if he was playing opening day.
Yes,
I
agreed.
love to be proven wrong. I love him for to be healthy, but I was just would surprise me. We're a week out and I haven't heard anything that gives me confidence in that. Um, what was I saying? Oh, who are you pinch hitting? Who are you? Do you want Gorman, Newbar, and Donovan early in the season to just get those opportunities and just see if they can be everyday guys? See if they can see if maybe Gorman turns into a guy where last year when he was over 800 OPS against lefties, maybe that's real. Maybe that's who he can be in a big sample size, and you're not pinch hitting, and maybe that's their thought process.
My answer is yes, absolutely. And I think honestly, if you look at the lineup, the only guy you're probably going to pinch hit late for if
Early
Victor Scott is on the lineup is Winters Victor Scott, right? That's
or
it.
Burley if he's facing a lefty, I would think they
Correct.
would.
Agreed. But like that's what I'm saying. There isn't, and we know that the Cardinals have not shown a propensity to utilize their number two catcher as
Mhm.
a pinch hitter. They have not
Right, yeah.
shown that. I haven't seen them do that
Well, they do
in
it with Wilson when
forever.
he's on the bench.
Last year they had three catchers, though. That's the difference.
Well, not even when he wasn't there, but also we're assuming he's going to be catching most games anyway. So, but yeah, they would
I'm
do it
just
with
saying, like
Wilson, but probably not with Herrera.
they have not shown that propensity. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And because it's a difficult thing to do, and it's smart not to have to do it. But Herrera's a really good hitter, and you're going to want him to get some of those opportunities, I would think, even if it's a risky thing, like, and it is. But Donnie, can you play catcher? He probably can. He probably can if he's needed. I don't know. And here's another thing I wanted to bring up because this is recently put out there. It's not the biggest news, but I think it's interesting. They confirmed that they want Goldie and Arenado hitting 2 and 4, as we kind of thought, because they did it all last year. And they want Donovan or Newbar batting first. Right now it'll be Donovan. And they want Gorman batting third, apparently, is what they
Yes.
said. They want him switched in there against righties. I lefties, he might move down to sixth or something, but he'll still be in the lineup, I would think. I like it. I like that they're doing I like the way they're building the roster right now. And also, like, dude, they've got they've got 7 really good hitters if they're healthy. Like really, really good hitters. And it's so exciting if this pitching staff can hold up.
I just think and fear that they're so left-handed now
They're
that
not.
when are you ever going to use Brandon Crawford or Matt Carpenter? Explain to me
I mean, isn't that a
Explain to
good
me
thing?
Matt Carpenter's role on this team.
By the way, raking in spring training.
Don't
He
care.
is.
I
Well, he
great.
is.
I'm happy.
You
I'm
care about
that's
Victor
not my
Scott, but you don't care
question.
about Matt Carpenter. Okay, I get it. You
That's
care
not my
Scott
question.
raking, but not Matt Carpenter. Kind
That's
of.
not my question.
This is what I said to you earlier. I said people pick and choose when they like spring stats, and you're picking and choosing right now.
I was actually very steadfast when I said I pay more attention to the young guys who are trying to make a job more than I'm paying attention to the vets. But I will ask you again for the fourth time now.
I don't have
What
his
is Matt
role is what I
Carpenter's role
told.
on this team?
Remember when I told you what his role was when we signed him? It's to be a veteran presence and to that's it.
So once again, we're playing down a man with a roster. How many
Not
times
really,
can
because
you
Matt
give
Carpenter
us
can take it bad if you need
26
him.
and we play with 25?
Okay.
Last year it was Taylor Motter and or it was 3 catchers.
Can
At
I play
one point we
devil's
played with
advocate,
24.
please? Can I play devil's advocate, please? If your lineup
Please.
is doing what you think it can and should healthy, then you shouldn't need an entire bench. Like this lineup is too good and talented to where if those guys are healthy, injuries are different, but we can call guys up and do things like that, waiver claims, whatever you want to do there. If healthy, I don't want my bench coming in because I want my 9 guys to be good enough to where we don't have to do that. And I think they've got a team that can be that. I really do. I mean, when and Scott, if he's on the roster aside, I think they have at least 7 guys that you should say they're hitting in every situation. They're good enough to do it. We'll let that happen. And if that's their plan to finally stop, platooning these young guys and not even giving them a chance to prove that they're better than you think they are, then I'm okay with it. I like that.
Let me ask. Okay, well, I got 2 questions. One, is it pretty fair to assess that Matt Carpenter is going to be Thursday getaway first baseman and then every once in a while Sunday on the road noon game first baseman?
I don't know. Because what if Burleson's that? That's my answer. I don't know. But yes, I think he'll get some of the. If he's playing, I would assume there's a flight right after the game. Yes. That's what I would guess.
That's what I would say as well. Now I
Yeah.
lost my second question.
But I
and
would
it was
still
a
give
good one.
Burley
It was
that.
actually the more important. Oh, no, I know what it was. Let me ask you this.
Okay. You have to say that before you ask every question.
I know. In this world, what if
Okay.
what we're seeing with Dylan Carlson right now is what Dylan Carlson becomes
Yes.
at the beginning of the season?
Please.
All right. And what if what we've seen from Victor Scott is what we get for the first 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks against? We've talked about the 16-week or the 16-game gauntlet that starts us off, right? We've talked about it. What if? And then Lars Nootbaar comes back.
Yeah. Well, nobody's playing, so then you got. I don't know.
I mean, are you going to stunt Victor Scott? Are you going to put? Let's say Victor Scott again. This is all hyperbole or hypothetical. Sorry, hypothetical.
It's not hyperbole.
No, it's not. Well, it could
But
be.
they're gonna be the best players ever.
Let's say that Victor Scott's hitting around 280, 290, playing elite center field, and has 10 stolen bases, 8 stolen bases.
Yeah.
And is getting on base at a pretty good clip. And Dylan Carlson is doing whatever he's been doing. Like, are you going to bench? Are you going to send Victor Scott back to Memphis so that you can play Lars Nootbaar?
You just laid out the exact reason I never wanted to call him up in the first place.
I still don't honestly want to call asking him up, by the way. Because
that's what
that means the Cardinals had a really good 16-game stretch, right? And that means things are rolling with this team. And now Lars comes back. Do you automatically I think that's the tricky thing. Or does Lars go to the outfield and Jordan Walker goes to DH? But then that creates a Brendan Donovan.
That can't happen.
So that's what I'm asking you.
It's that'd be a great problem to have. First off, if that happens, it's tough because, man, my gut reaction to what you just asked me was then you platoon Carlson and Scott. But if Carlson he's healthy finally, he got surgery in the offseason. He looks good. He's swinging the bat well from the left side. As well as I've seen, I didn't get to watch today's game. It wasn't televised. But when I've seen him, he's swinging with a purpose like he was in 2021. That's what it looks like. And if he can be that, man, and you finally, he's back to that. You cannot bench him at all. You can't. If he's here and you're giving him an opportunity and he takes it and runs with it, you cannot mess with that guy, or he is going to be mentally done for the rest of his time in St. Louis. Done. You can't use him again. So
you've yet
for
to
me,
answer my question.
Victor Scott can't be on the roster then. That's my answer.
So you believe they're going to take their number one prospect who is stealing bases and creating runs?
No, I'm saying he can't make the roster on opening day.
Okay, out of spring because of the fear
you just eliminate
that Dylan Carlson will do well.
No, not the fear. It's because, one, you have multiple reasons here. One, it's probably not what's best for him. Probably. It probably isn't. He probably could benefit from time at AAA, just like Mason Wynn did. And honestly, just like Jordan Walker did when he went back down and came back up and was better. And also, you have if Newbar is going to be back within a week, let's say he's back by the home opener, and they know that, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of Victor Scott being up there? That's just telling Dylan Carlson, hey, like, we're benching you in a week.
That's right. That's
So for me, like, the Victor Scott, it sucks for him because he's been so good and he's so talented. But I just think it's tough to squeeze him in right now without it creating the exact mess they were in last year.
that they've been in for the last 7 years
No, but
in the
specifically to
outfield.
like Jordan Walker being out there and then them struggling to find O'Neal and Carlson and Nootbaar all playing time and then sending Walker down and destroying his confidence for a couple of weeks. He talked about that. It was tough for him. Like these guys are humans. I saw some people say some things that really frustrated me. Like, oh, these guys are adults, they can handle it. Like, dude, they're human beings.
Right.
Like
Agreed. That's
they
just
are
silly. Whoever
not
said that, it's just
robots.
silly.
It,
That's a
it is
silly
silly
comment.
because he's a 23-year-old kid
Right.
that is about to get his first taste of the big leagues, whether that's in a week or it's in 2 months, and he's gonna fail regardless because it's hard and you fail anyway. And you don't need to add more pressure on top of that by saying you have to outplay all these guys or you're getting sent down in a week because Newbar coming back.
Yeah. Yep.
That's my
I
opinion.
agree. I just think that to me is what pops into my head. Now, there is, like I said,
That's best
that's
case
a
scenario though,
hypothetical
honestly.
and essentially also a hyperbole because the chances of both of those happening are very rare.
But
But there
really
is a
though, that
chance.
though
There's a
it's really
chance.
not that crazy though, because is it crazy for let's just say Newbar's back in like 10 days. Is it crazy for Scott and Carlson to both have 10 really good days? No, it's not
No.
crazy.
What if Lars
That could very well
Nootbaar gets
happen.
Wally pipped?
He's he's not gonna happen. Dad, I'm not doing this.
So
He
then
had
why
the
do we
highest
have
WAR on the
then
team
why
last
did
year in
we keep Dylan
115
Carlson?
games. He had the highest WAR on the team in 115 games last year. He's not getting taken off the team. Move on.
Okay.
Literally an argument that he's the best player on the team.
Did Wally Pipp have the greatest WAR the year before Lou
I don't
Gehrig?
know, but I don't think so. They didn't have WAR. They had actual wars.
They do. They
They
do.
had
You can go
war.
back and see what their
They
WAR
had
was. They haven't
actual
figured out.
wars. They didn't have
They
the
did.
stats.
Well, that's hey, we do not need that. So let's not bring those up.
No.
Two
Well, we
quick
haven't.
things. Two quick things. And then we'll get out of here because we got the starting pitcher stuff coming up next time. Then obviously we've got our predictions and our everything else that we'll do for the Cardinals and
Preview.
for everything around baseball. One, Blake Snell signs with the Giants. That's kind of where I thought he was going to land all along,
Same.
and it does seem to make a lot of sense. The Giants have spent a lot of money. I'm really intrigued to see how that goes. But to me, he just fits very well as a San Francisco Giant.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, very reminiscent of a guy named Carlos Rodon when he went over there on a prove it deal with an opt out. It's Boris had a really bad offseason, you know, and I think a lot of it was I'm not going to say collusion because that's just a very cruel word in this business because we've seen a lot of collusion that has resulted in a lot of lawsuits. But I will say it did seem like they banded against Boris this year, almost like the owners as a whole were like, we're tired of his shit and him always beating us, and they just didn't pay anyone. It sucks for Snell to have to be on a prove it deal after winning the Cy Young because what else can you do that's better than that? Like win the World
Right.
Series and win MVP. Is that what he has to do now? But it sucks for Snell, even though he's making $30 million a year. He's not going to be on the streets of San Francisco, but it does suck for him that he's not be getting paid more. It's going to work really well, and their rotation's really good. They have no offense, but their rotation's really good now.
Yeah.
The
Agreed.
Cardinals should have done it though.
And then just to bring it up, because I don't think we have enough time to talk about it, and we will
We
talk about it
don't.
a little bit next time. And I think we need to get some more information as it's all coming out. I am highly intrigued by this Ohtani stuff that's happening right now.
I'm gonna be as careful as I can when I talk about this because I don't want to imply things that probably aren't true. So we
Allegedly.
gotta
Just
talk
say
about it.
allegedly.
Well, it's not even alleged. This is just like I'll just. It's wild what has happened here. Okay, so apparently this is fact from Jeff Passan, the goat of baseball reporters. He interviewed Ipe, I believe. So Shohei's translator for you, those of you who don't know, there's a report that came out that he stole 4.5 million dollars from Ohtani and gambled it. That was the report we got. Now, Jeff Passan brought out an article that said he interviewed Ipe, who was brought to him by Ohtani's representatives, and said to speak on the gambling situation and the money that was wired to some illegal gambler, bookie, and speak about what his involvement was with it. So what he told Passan was, yeah, Ohtani, I have a gambling addiction. Ohtani just lent me the money. Not lent me the money, but wired it over to them. So that first sounds like, okay, Ohtani paid $4.5 million to an illegal betting ring, which
when we have
bad.
legal sports gambling.
That's just bad in general. So I think what happened, and then 30 minutes later, apparently they called him back and said everything Ipe just said is incorrect. We're sending a public statement. So basically, they probably said,
Oh no.
"Uh-oh, that's also illegal." What we just said that he did, because you can't pay illegal gamblers $4.5 million. So we're gonna go ahead and say that Ipe stole the money. And now that's the story that they're running with, is that he stole money from Shohei Ohtani and wired it, by the way, which in the story that Jeff Passan said was him and Ohtani sat down together, wired it, and wrote loan on the thing that he was sending. I don't know what wired to Venmo. I don't know what they were using. In multiple installments and wrote loan. He said they sat
Imagine,
together and did this.
imagine a $4.5 million Venmo.
No, it was multiple installments over months of money.
Has anyone checked on ePay to make sure that he is still
Oh, I'll get to
with
that in a
us?
second. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so the loan.
Because that's where this brain goes.
So it's crazy to me, one, because those two stories are so conflicting and so different that it's like it smells so bad of a cover up of something else happened. And maybe it's just as simple as Otani helped his friend and it was also illegal what he helped him do, which is very possible. Or it's he stole money, which seems very unlikely to me based on the fact that they said he did it first. And Ipe addressed the Dodgers after the game and said, "I'm leaving. I've been fired. Otani helped me with this, but he didn't bet at all." Oh, Otani, there's a video at the end of the game of Otani and Ipe sitting there laughing and talking at the end of today's game that just happened. Who laughs with someone who just stole $5 million from you? That story is just not even at all possible.
No.
Why are you giving your translator access
Hold
to
on.
your bank account to steal
Is
$5 million?
Ohtani going to have to leave the Dodgers and go play 2 years in the G League?
And the basketball, dude, this is wild.
The
It's
reverse
seriously
Jordan?
crazy. That's literally the first thing I thought was Michael Jordan when this happened. It's crazy. I don't know that Ohtani was betting. I'm not going to assume that. I do
Allegedly.
think, I do think that they came out with the story to try to get ahead of it, and they realized the story they were telling is also very illegal. And then they said, "Oh, well, we got to change this." So Ipe, you stole $5 million from your best friend. Which, by the way, how would he have access to $5 million? How would Otani not know about it? And then why would Shohei be laughing with him in the dugout?
This has Netflix doc written all over it,
It's
bro.
wild. This is the best reality TV ever. I can't wait to see how this plans out. I've read like 10 articles tonight on it,
Well,
and it is
we can
fascinating.
give a little more in depth on Sunday,
I have a
hopefully.
question with you. I have a question for you because one, the thing that's crazy about this is they can literally Otani can just say he's not pressing charges against Ipe, and I think that he wouldn't go to jail. But then you also admitted that you were in a gambling ring, and then that gets complicated. So I don't know. There's legal implications here, and I would assume that the bigger powers in L.A. and California are going to look into this. But put that aside, are they going to do it? Do you think they'll do an MLB investigation on this?
They're going to have to. I think they're
I
probably going to be.
I guarantee they don't.
Well, my question is, what state was it in? Because if there's legalized sports gambling, then why are
I would
we?
assume California. Dude, it
But
was
well, the
illegal. It was
reason.
an
Hold on.
illegal bookie.
Stop. You didn't let me finish. The reason that they probably didn't do that is because that's traceable, as we have seen with Calvin Ridley and all these other guys
Well,
whose
that's
names
assuming
popped up.
Otani was betting.
No, I understand it, but even if it's like your whatever, you
Yeah,
know
I
what I
am
mean?
intrigued as
Like
well.
that's
Like, if first off, there's been no reputable things that have come out yet, so it's still developing. It came out today that have said anything about them betting on baseball. That has not been even
right.
linked or discussed. We'll see. Like, it wouldn't shock me if that happened, but it just hasn't. As of right now, Ipe said it was poker games. Another question: what bookie lets a translator who probably makes like not even $1 million a year go 4.5 mil in the hole without requesting payment?
It's an interesting thought. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I
Who?
don't know. I don't know
How
that
did Ipe
answer.
not get kneecapped? What's
Yeah, well,
happening here?
yeah.
This
Are
is
we sure that was
crazy.
Ipe that Otani was laughing with?
Dude, it makes no sense. It
No,
really
there's.
makes no
I'm
sense. It's
intrigued to see where
wild.
this story goes
How are you
because
a translator that's making like maybe two, three, 400 grand a year, getting $4.5 million in the hole? If that's
yeah,
even what we're supposed to believe.
right.
I don't know, but I love it. I love the drama. I love Shohei still. I love Michael Jordan, for example. So this isn't changing my view on him. But it's something's fishy. We definitely don't know everything. I don't know what we don't know, but I know we don't know something.
Final question before we get out of here: who do you have winning the NCAA men's tournament?
Who do you think I have winning?
Illinois.
Oh yeah, we have the two best players in the Eastern region. Get out of here.
Wait till
Terrence
they
Shannon
play.
Jr. and Marcus Damask.
I love them, but wait till they play BYU and
Yeah.
BYU makes
The,
17 threes because they
so
cannot defend. Illinois cannot defend in an NCAA tournament.
okay,
I
so I
love them.
saw, yeah, I saw something today. What's the rank Ken Palm? So the Ken Palm ratings, the there's never been a team to win the championship that was in the top 25 in scoring offensive Ken Palm and the bottom and not even the top 150 in defensive. And they weren't. They fell in that criteria. So it could be tough, but I do the way Terrence Shannon Jr. is legitimately playing like the best player in the country right now.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
legitimately, he is.
He's played
So
himself
we
into a
need to continue
potential
doing that.
lottery pick in the NBA.
Yeah, the only thing that can hold him back obviously is off the field issues that are looming right now. But
Yeah,
I don't want to get into that. But
no.
yeah, he's an incredible player, dude. He's so good.
Since you asked, even though you didn't, I have Connecticut winning back to back.
I don't know why, if it's just because UConn. I don't trust them. I never do. I don't know why. Don't know why. They're very good.
They probably won't because it is incredibly difficult. I think this tournament is going to be wild,
I
like
had Creighton in my
incredibly
Final
wild.
Four.
Huh?
I had
I
Creighton in
think
my
I'm
Final
okay. I
Four.
don't have my bracket completely done, but
Oh,
I think
okay.
I'm probably going to lean there as well.
Yeah, I really like Gonzaga just because they're under the
I do
radar
not.
finally.
I have
They're
them
finally
losing the
under the
first.
radar.
I have them losing the first round. McNeese can score like no other team in the country,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've watched Gonzaga like they struggle to guard anybody.
They do. Yeah.
But you're
I
right.
still can't
This will
believe
be the
they
year that
didn't.
they're under the radar that they end up
Yeah.
going.
I mean, they had Jalen Suggs. Oh, who's that? Forward that's
Chet
in the league
Holmgren.
now. Yeah, yes, but no, no, the other one. The shooting guard. I think he's on the Wizards. What's his name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Herbert. Hespert?
So yeah. Kispert,
Kispert, that's it.
Corey
Yeah.
Kispert.
They had
Yeah,
all those guys. They had like four NBA
yeah,
players on that team and lost.
yep. All
So who
right,
knows?
well,
They
let's
had
get
two
out of
lottery picks
here,
on that team.
and we'll be back soon. Right, we'll be back on Sunday, for with the starting pitchers, and then we'll
It'll
do our
release on
predictions
Monday.
next week. And 7 days, JD Drew days from now, we have Major League Baseball.
You say 17 or 7?
7.
Oh yeah. Today was old Alan 2010 Alan Craig days when he was
I
number 8.
went JD Drew. I thought he was number 8.
That's what I said. Today.
Oh,
Tomorrow.
okay, I got you. I
You're in the
got you.
future from me and it messes with my
I
head.
got you.
You could
All
have said
right,
Matt
fair.
Holiday, but that's okay.
Yep.
All right, you
All
ready?
right.
Andrew
Yeah, let's
Kisner
get
as
out of
well.
here. Hey, thank you, everybody. Enjoy some college basketball, enjoy some spring training, and we'll talk to you soon. Go Cards.